What's up, beautiful ladies and handsome men? I am not sure what's true or false in this story. I take gossip, tea, rumor, and scandal from yesteryear, from online, from word of mouth, from books, and I ball it up and I tell you guys a story. Now, let's get to it.
Hello, my Scandalites and SaysSo squad. This is Ashley with Ashley SaysSo, and y'all have been waiting for and wanting this doggone video with her sassy attitude tale, Miss LaWanda Page. Let's get to it. Alberta Richmond was born on October the 19th, 1920 in either Alabama or Mississippi. Her mother's name was Esther Richmond, and her father was a guy named Willie Richmond. And after only a couple of years, Alberta, which I'm gonna start calling LaWanda now so y'all don't get confused. So anyways, LaWanda and her mother picked up and moved to Cleveland, Ohio because her mother left Willie Richmond. It was in Cleveland, Ohio that her mother Estella ended up remarrying a man named Charles Murray, and she started going by the name Estella Murray. It was also here in Ohio where little LaWanda started to flourish. She was one of those children that knew off top that she wanted to be in front of an audience, and she felt like her best way of getting there was by dancing. So she would go outside every single day and grab 4 other little girls whom were her friends, and all 5 of them would walk like to the local black downtown section of wherever they lived, and they would line up on the side of the streets. Actually, the 4 little girls would line up on the side of the streets and they'd start doing dance moves. And then when the crowd started to form, little LaWanda would jump out front, and she would really get to jumping and jiving, baby. She knew the Charleston, she knew the cakewalk, she knew the black bottom. Every single dance that was popular at that time, little LaWanda could do it. So this would always bring great cheer and great excitement to the crowds, and they would start clapping along, and then they'll start humming music so the girls would have music to dance to. And LaWanda and her friends would do so well that by the time the performance was over, baby, they would be full up in change. Those girls were making no less than 25 cents a day. And that's good doggone money for back in that time, especially with a little child around 5, 6, 7 years old. So yeah, little LaWanda was banking a little bit. And she herself started to make even more money and get more notice because she stopped performing on the side of the street and she started performing at a place called Friendly Inn Settlement, which was a community center. So LaWanda was doing well and carving a path for her career at a very young age. But soon things came to a standstill, and that is because she and her family left Ohio and moved to St. Louis. And when LaWanda got to St. Louis, she didn't know the community or the environment enough to just immediately start dancing on the streets. So what she did instead is just start focusing on her studies. She attended Banneker Elementary School and soon discovered that there was a little boy there that was always kicking up dust. This child was joking on folks all the time, pinching folks and running away. But there was one thing that he was better at than anything else, and that was when he would sit down to tell these wild comedic tales about his life. LaWanda was drawn to this young fellow who was actually like 1 or 2 years younger than her, but she was drawn to him and they became very fast friends, and wouldn't you believe this guy ended up being Red Fox. With these two together, honey, you may as well forget about it, baby. They were clowning all day, always putting on fake stage shows, joking on each other, all of this good stuff. Soon they found out that they both had the same dream in their hearts, and that was to make it to be in show business. But although they had the same dreams, they had different ways that they wanted to get there. LaWanda wanted to do hers through dancing, and Red Fox wanted to do his through singing or comedy. So as they came into their teen years, and since they had these totally different paths to stardom, their lives started going different paths. Red Fox left St. Louis to go to Chicago when he was still very young. And LaWanda, who was around probably late 13-year-old, early 14-year-old at this time, she started focusing on how to get her dance career back on track. But by this time, that dancing on the side of the street stuff was pretty much out of the question. And then there certainly weren't any professional dance schools in her area around that time, like for a young black teen. But she still would certainly practice her dance moves at local dance parties, local get-togethers, just wherever she could bust a move. And like I said, the girl ain't no child no more. So she got long legs coming all the way up to here. You know, she got this stomach full of muscles. Everything is tight. So when she's jigging, she's really getting down. But of course, she's starting to have several admirers on the side. And none of these guys admired her more than a guy named John Peel. And John Peel wasn't that handsome of a guy, but when he started to approach LaWanda and talk to her, he was talking the right stuff. See, LaWanda had grown up pretty dang on poor. And here comes this John Peel. He's a bit older than her. He's dressed nice. And he's telling 14-year-old LaWanda if she becomes his girl, he'll take care of her. And he himself, rumors say, is only probably around 20, 21 at this time. But you know, he's talking all confident, and to a 14-year-old girl, you know, she feel like he got himself together. So it wasn't long before LaWanda not only started dating John Peel, they got married in the year of 1934, and LaWanda found out quickly that John ain't had no money. Baby, aside from a couple of dates and taking her to eat a nice meal, John wasn't no good at paying the doggone bill, wasn't able to buy much of anything they needed as a couple. As a matter of fact, sources differ about this, but some sources say that LaWanda did move out and live with her husband John Peel for a little while, but they couldn't keep the house. After about 6 months, they couldn't pay the rent, so LaWanda moved back in with her mother. So she found herself married to this older man, and he ain't got no money, she ain't got no money, you know, so LaWanda starts to think for herself very quickly, dang, I should have just kept doing what I was doing, and that's trying to dance and make it into show business. So that's what she did. And dancing at these little small parties and stuff wasn't getting it. She was trying to dance to make money. So she did the only thing that she knew she could do, and that was to start dancing as a nightclub dancer, an exotic nightclub dancer. So LaWanda starts dancing, and she's around 15 years old at this time, and you know, she knows how to roll her stomach and she knows how to shake her hips so she can put on a pretty good show. But there are plenty of girls that can do those dances, and some of these girls are older than her and have been in the business longer than her, so they're always getting the spotlight. So being just a stripper was just not enough. LaWanda wanted to do something to make herself stand out. So that is when LaWanda took some time to herself. She learned how to perfect her show. You know, she let other people teach her some tricks, and by the time Miss LaWanda was 18 years old, honey, LaWanda had become a fire dancer. Homegirl is stepping. She's got her curls going to the side. Her makeup is just right. Meg Thee Stallion, Nicki Minaj, and whomever else ain't have nothing on this sexy young wild thing. Miss LaWanda Page was where it was at. Her actual stage name at this time was called the Bronze Goddess. Honey, she'd step out on the doggone stage with a two-piece bikini on, and she would get to sway, and then she would remove her top, and then while she was topless, somebody would come off the side with a bowl of oil in their hand. So LaWanda would work her way over to the bowl man, then she would dip her fingertips into the oil and then walk back over in front of the audience, and some type of way, very sneakily like, she used a match or something else, and she would light up her fingertips. And then while her fingertips are on fire, she's sweeping her hands every which way, and as she's doing all of this and rolling her hips at the same time, she starts to walk towards the audience. And there would always be a plant person or a prop person at one of the little front tables in the audience, and right at the time that LaWanda starts walking down into the audience, this person always takes out a cigarette and he's about to light it. And then LaWanda sensuously comes over to him and she's like, no, no. And LaWanda takes her flaming fingertips and she lights his cigarette for him. And do you know what this type of performance did for her audience, especially the men? Baby, this was hot. I'm talking about hot, hot. It set their passions running wild. But that's talking about the professional side of things. When you get back to the personal side of things, although John Peel does not have much money and LaWanda is back at her home with her mother, she's still with John Peel. You know, she's still in love with him. They're still married. He would stay at her mother's house with her most times, and then sometimes they went and lived with his parents. One of these times, wherever they were, LaWanda ended up conceiving her first child. And this was a daughter that they named Clara Estella Peel. And I'm pretty sure that she and John were both excited by the birth of their daughter, but in reality, this just meant one thing, that they needed to make more money. They had another mouth to feed. So LaWanda, being the breadwinner that she was, simply sought to get better at her dancing, but it's what she adds to her performances that really sets things off. And that's because LaWanda is not only lighting her fingertips on fire anymore, honey, at this point, she's walking on fire. Literally. So when the audience sees this lady half nude or all the way nude and she's walking on flames, you know, they go crazy. She was making good money, but then she ended up suffering a blow. Her husband, John Peel, ended up dying. So now LaWanda was kind of really on her own. You know, she still had her mother, but she was determined to make a way for her child to live good. So what did she do? She continued to build on her stage presence. And this time she added on the top level trick, honey, because LaWanda started swallowing rods that were lit on fire. And it was when she added in this level trick that LaWanda started to be called the Flame Goddess. and people came from all around to see this chocolate flaming masterpiece do her work. And soon she became so popular that there was this guy who toured all around the world, and he wanted LaWanda to join his show. So LaWanda toured the world doing her fire show, and she did this, I believe, probably about 10 years in total. And during this time she ended up meeting and marrying her second husband, but unfortunately this husband did not last long at all because he also died. Now, although LaWanda was a success in her show, as time goes on, things start to change and people start to become less interested. And the only way to get an instant attraction from the public, or to instantly get people to come and see her show, was by adding another level to her show. So LaWanda, crazy tale, got in touch with a guy that owned a boa constrictor, and she asks if she can use this snake in her show. The guy agrees, and LaWanda starts practicing with the snake, and what she does is take the boa constrictor over her arms and over her shoulders, and she dances very sexily. She lets the snake move its head all down her body. But the grand finale of the show that she's putting together, the snake is pretty much fully wrapped around her middle torso and her legs, and she still takes the flaming rods and sticks those down her throat. So again, LaWanda practices this, she masters this, and she steps out on stage and she puts on this show. Audience is completely stunned, exhilarated, titillated. This lady is a wonder. She is a thrill to the senses. She is everything. So at her next show, the audience is even bigger. And so LaWanda is like, okay, baby, I just did that. Her show was revamped. It had a brand new life. But baby, it's a scandalous thing, child. Because while the show was getting a new life, baby, LaWanda sit up there and almost lost her life. This is probably LaWanda's about third show performing with this doggone snake. That gal stuck that flaming rod down her throat. Honey, they said that snake head came up off her doggone midsection and wrapped itself all around LaWanda's throat. LaWanda got to stumping and running and spinning and everything, child. Looking like Michael Jackson on that doggone Pepsi commercial. Y'all remember when his head got burnt up, the way he was spinning and all that kind of stuff? That's how she was looking. Luckily, 2 men came from backstage and they were strong enough to unwrap the snake from around her neck. She was so upset with the snake that after the men got the snake off of her, LaWanda went and grabbed the snake by the doggone head, baby, dragged that sucker outside to the back and chopped that doggone snake's head off. She never performed with a snake a doggone again, so without her snake, her show went right back to basic. LaWanda really did not know now just what she was gonna do. She was getting older, especially for this exotic dancing type thing, and then like I said, she had to take down the excitement factor. But one good thing that did happen for her is that she met a guy by the name of William or Mark or something. All I know is that his last name was Rivers. Mr. Rivers was kind to her. LaWanda fell in love with him, and I think around 1950 or 1951 they ended up getting married. But LaWanda Page must have been a black widow or a brown recluse or something, child, because that husband ended up passing away too. That was her third husband that passed away. She was a widow again, and this time rumor has it that LaWanda Page said that she was never going to marry again. With all of this going on, it was around 1952 that LaWanda Page left the touring circuit that she was doing, and she came back to Los Angeles, and she started performing at a club called the Brass Rail. She was a waitress sometimes, but most times she still put on a dance performance. Not only did she do solo performances, she also danced with the chorus line. It was after one of these performances that LaWanda Page went backstage, and there were several comedians there. And so LaWanda was backstage just talking with the comedians, cutting up with them. Well, the club owner ends up overhearing LaWanda like really holding her own. You know what I'm saying? They joking on her, she joking back. Sometimes the jokes that she's saying is hitting harder than what the comedians are saying. And so that's when the club owner tells LaWanda, hey, I want you to start going on stage and performing comedy. And he told her he would pay her $125 a week. And so LaWanda started performing stand-up comedy. And the lady hit her mark. She was always able to draw laughs from the crowd. It wasn't long before the veteran comedy duo, Skillet and Leroy, asked LaWanda to perform with them. And when she joined them and these three performed together, it was a riot. I mean, they would lay out the whole doggone house. So she stayed with Leroy and Skillet for over 15 years. During that time they performed together, they also cut several raunchy behind comedy album. Well, it was in the early 1970s while LaWanda was performing with Leroy and Skillet that a white producer by the name of Aaron Russo decided to make his way on the black side of town and go to this comedy club to see the routine. He snickered and he giggled at Leroy and Skillet, but it was when LaWanda came to the stage that Aaron Russo burst out in gut-busting laughter. He absolutely loved the sassiness that she had in her character. Well, this is such a big deal because Aaron Russo was actually at the time working on a show named Sanford and Son. He went back the next day and told the whole cast and crew of Sanford and Son how he had seen this girl last night who was terrific, you know, and he thought she would be great to be a girlfriend for Fred Sanford. And as Aaron started to describe LaWanda, that's when Redd Foxx was like, I know LaWanda. We grew up together. Like, it ain't no thing if you want me to get in touch with LaWanda. And Aaron Russo is like, great, yes, please do, because we want to bring her in. And so they brought LaWanda in to read for a part of the girlfriend, but the girlfriend they had in mind for Redd Foxx was very proper, prissy, you know, she spoke with proper English. She just didn't fit the girlfriend character. But they had another character in mind for her, and this was a character called Aunt Esther. So everything seems to be finally falling in place for LaWanda Page. But notice, I said seems to be. Child, LaWanda was standing in the wrong place. They would tell her to walk this way, but keep her face on the camera. Child, she'll be walking with her face to the side. Sometimes she would flub her lines, and then when she did get her lines right, she would say exactly what was on the script. And that's not what actors do. You can give an actor a script all day, and they're gonna go off script and add all kind of stuff. I mean, they're not just gonna go crazy and make up a whole different scene, but they're definitely going to add extras because they imagine it in their heads. So anyways, LaWanda was messing up, screwing up so badly that Aaron Russo went to Redd Foxx talking about never mind, we made a mistake, get rid of her behind. And that is when Redd Foxx was like, no, we're not getting rid of her. You know, she would be perfect for this show. And if you just give me like a day or two with her, I promise you I will get her in line. And Aaron Russo was like, you know, I don't think we have time for that. And that's when Redd Foxx was like, well, listen, you get rid of her, I'm gone. So Redd Foxx did take that opportunity to work with LaWanda, and he would bring her on set where it was just him and her, and he would kind of walk her through everything. And she ended up getting her standing right. She learned how to do all of those long pauses. She was doing everything perfectly, but Redd Foxx basically pulled her to the side and told her that they still were going to let her go because she was not really getting in her element. And the problem is that LaWanda Page was not acting like LaWanda Page. Like, the role of Esther is like a 60-year-old woman, so she was acting the way a generic 60-year-old woman would act. You know what I'm saying? Like, she didn't really bring any of her attitude and personality into it. Redd Foxx pulled her to the corner and he told her like, hey, it still seems like they're gonna let you go because you're not being yourself. And those were the words that LaWanda Page needed to hear. So when they started back rehearsals, LaWanda Page brought herself to the character, and baby, she killed it. She got on set the next day calling Redd Foxx an old fish-eyed fool, busting folks upside the head, calling folks heathenous dogs, and the producers could not get enough of her. They were offering her tons of screen time, like she was becoming a very popular and favorite character, just like Redd Foxx and Damon Wilson. And she also was starting to feel really at home with the whole cast. And honey, when she started to feel at home, baby, LaWanda started letting loose, honey. Baby, the folks on the street say that when LaWanda Page walked off of the set after filming a scene, you may as well heard, I'm your mama, I'm your daddy, I'm that nigga in the alley, I'm your pusher, man. They said LaWanda Page was the plug. Honey said that she used to come backstage and would be bringing cocaine, would be bringing weed, and everything else for the doggone cast. Baby, Aunt Esther Wig was doing the gangster lean behind the scenes. And baby, the folks say that ain't just no rumor. Allegedly, Damon Wilson was on camera somewhere telling folks that LaWanda Page used to bring drugs for everybody on the set. And that's what she was doing on the TV set. Baby, you have to heard the rumor they said that she was doing when it came to her personal life. They said LaWanda was out here showing her hotel. As a matter of fact, gossip claimed LaWanda was in Atlanta with Millie Jackson. Allegedly, they both had an appearance at the Foxx Theater. Well, honey, the folks say that Millie gets up there and sings her song, and as soon as she goes off stage, LaWanda comes on stage dancing, acting silly, you know, for the crowd. Then baby said LaWanda took her stuff off right on stage Page and then picked it up and threw it out to the audience, honey. And honey, I don't know if the men was trying to catch the prize or running away, but what I do know is gossip claims that LaWanda was doing the most. She got comfortable very quick, and then also a lot of the time she was the toast of the town. People just loved her spicy behind, so they always got her to appear in these celebrity roles. She also did several award show appearances, so Sister Girl was doing it, and I'm sure that it felt like all of this stuff was going to last forever. But after a few years, and as the years neared the 80s, things started to go wrong with Sanford and Son. And I'm not gonna go into detail on this video because I went into full detail on the Red Fox video, and baby, if you talking about some doggone messy boobs, you need to go watch the Red Fox video. But anyways, I'm not gonna go into all of that here. But like I said, as it neared the 80s, things started going wrong with Sanford and Son, and so the show ended in the year of 1977. Now, immediately after the end of Sanford and Son, there were very small whispers about giving LaWanda a spinoff show, but really nothing ever came of it. She did for a while get guest appearances in other shows. One of the main shows that she was in was Different Strokes, where she starred as Cousin Myrtle. But LaWanda was looking for and needing more permanent work. And then it looked like the sun was about to shine through because Sanford and Son got a sequel, a show called Sanford, but the show only lasted from 1980 to 1981. So LaWanda found that Hollywood show business was drying up for her very, very quickly, and she had to do something because gossip claims that she also was taking care of her elderly mother at this time. So LaWanda went back to what she knew best, and that was stage comedy. And y'all should have heard this doggone woman comedy. I bet some of the folks in the audience thought they was gonna go to hell just by listening and watching this doggone show. Baby, she was always talking about some sucking and licking and sticking. Child, just too much for holy ears, honey. But her hot mess behind was pretty popular on the comedy circuit. I mean, she would not book huge shows, you know what I'm saying? She would just book clubs, but still she was getting work. And that's really what kind of held her down through the rest of the 80s. Now, when the 90s came along, LaWanda did start appearing on screen again in little bit parts. One of the most famous ones was Friday. Outside of small appearances like this, though, LaWanda really just kind of stayed out of the public eye. You know, I don't even think she was doing much of her comedy specials anymore. I am not sure really what was going on at this time. I do believe that as she got older, her daughter Clara started to take care of her mother. What I do know is that somewhere along the line, LaWanda Page acquired diabetes, and on September the 14th, 2002, at the age of 81, some sources say, she ended up passing away from a heart attack that was caused by the diabetes. Now, after her death, allegedly there was this obituary that was printed in the papers that caused whispers all over the world. And that is because in that obituary, it stated that LaWanda Page's sister's name was Lynn Hamilton. Well, I guess since LaWanda was on Sanford and Son, everybody just kind of assumed that this Lynn Hamilton was the Lynn Hamilton that appeared on Sanford and Son. Gossip claims that she did have a sister by the name of Lynn Hamilton, but that was not the Lynn Hamilton from the show of Sanford and Son. So this is the end of the old Hollywood scandals for Miss LaWanda Page. I hope you guys enjoyed it, but before we leave, I got two things to say. The first thing is about Miss Irene Cara. On one of the articles I read, it said that Irene Cara pretty much became a recluse. Now, there's nothing wrong with that at all because I think I'm a recluse. But anyways, allegedly she was so reclusive that when her neighbors tried to talk to her or make any conversation with her, that she would kind of just like rush off into her house. Like, and okay, maybe the lady likes to be left alone. But the reason I'm bringing it up in this video is because in one of the articles that I read, one of her neighbors said that she had taken down the gate that was between her house and Irene's house. Baby, that woman said Irene Cara sent her a text and went slap off on her, hun. Child, said Irene was like, you know, what's the deal? Why would you do that? Did somebody tell you to remove that fence? You know, I don't like people looking at me. I don't want anybody to know where I live. And from what the neighbor was saying, she said it was kind of like Irene Cara was maybe scared of something or scared of somebody, like she wanted to hide from somebody. And I don't really have any more details than that, but like, what do y'all think about that? I always kind of wonder what's up because it is rumored that Hollywood is a very strange place. And the second thing I want to address, I already did a live about this, but I have to put it in a real video. Listen, y'all, if y'all get any Telegram messages, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, if you see anything in the comments and anything is asking you guys for money, please, please, please do not give that person any money. That is not me. If I want y'all to help me with some doggone money, I will ask you on a live or on one of these videos. I don't have a problem asking you guys that straight out. I know that they have scammed a few of you guys and you guys did give money. I'm so sorry about that, but please guys, that is not me. But anyways, I am done with this entire video. I hope you guys liked it. I hope you guys loved it. Please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Go ahead and share this video. Go ahead and comment. Also, please be on the lookout for a second channel that I am creating. That channel will be called SaysSo Tales, and on that channel, that's where I will continue my storytelling. Most of those stories will be true crime. They will be ghost stories. They will be anything scary and anything interesting that catches my attention. I will tell you guys about by telling you guys a story. All right, guys, I'm about to work on the next video. Love you so much. Bye.